welcome back to my channel. Today is a beginner's guide to retinol, not only in the sense that I'm going to go back to basics and explain how retinol works in the skin, but I'm going to introduce you to 5 products which I think are perfect for first-time retinol users. And I'm going to be completely transparent. This is partly sponsored by Elizabeth Arden, and they've inspired this video because they have created the perfect skin-friendly retinol for first-timers, for people who are worried about retinol. And when I talk about retinol, so many of you say, I'm really worried, I've heard it has loads of side effects, how am I going to use it without irritating my skin? Well, here's how. It's really very simple. Retinol is a derivative of vitamin A and it's active in the skin. There are retinol receptors in the skin. Think of retinol as being sort of the Prime Minister, President and King of your skin. It oversees pretty much most functions, from collagen and elastin production to pigment production to hydration. It's essentially the gold standard skincare ingredient. Now, you can work your way up from weaker strengths of retinoid or a vitamin A derivative like retinol palmitate or retinol acetate, but essentially retinol is where you're starting to get the really visible effects, the really visible differences. But as I mentioned earlier, it can be irritating on the skin, especially if you jump straight in to a 1% and higher. And that's when you get the redness, the flaking, the irritation, the annoying sort of peely face where your makeup doesn't sit on. So what do you do if you want to start using a retinol? And pretty much all of us from the age of say 30 should be using a retinol, and you want to avoid the irritation. Well, there are ways of using retinol that are simply skin friendly. The active ingredient is essentially mixed with skin friendly ingredients, things like moisturizers, hydrating ingredients, hyaluronic acid, ceramides and oils that slow the release into the skin. Now, I'm going to start by talking about the product that is partly sponsoring this, and that is the new Elizabeth Arden Retinol Ceramide capsules. And you'll have seen these probably quite a lot on your feed, because not only are they perfectly Instagram friendly in the sense that they come with tiny little mono doses. I mean, you'll recognize these if they're gold, because it's the classic Elizabeth Arden ceramide capsule. Well, now they've combined ceramides with moisturizing ingredients, with peptides, with retinol. Now, the reason I mention that is because they're really easy to use. Perfect monodoses. You rip off the top and out comes a really beautiful hydrating serum. Now, the reason I mention this, and this is going to be more than enough for my hands, so obviously I'm not going to waste it, and I'm going to put it all down under my chest because I never let an active ingredient go to waste. The reason I mention that they're monodoses is because Elizabeth Arden basically rule the monodose market, don't they? As I said, they've had ceramides for years. And what they've done is they've listened to their consumers and their customers who want to use retinol but are frightened of being irritated. So what they've done is they've combined the retinol. It's the most velvety serum ever. It's a pleasure to use, it really is. And you use one every single night. And what they've done is they've combined retinol with ceramides, with sunflower, olive oil and avocado oils and peptides. And what you end up with is a slow, steady release of the vitamin A retinol into your skin while you sleep. What this means is, instead of just putting retinol into an active ingredient that is a serum that goes into the skin super fast, what they've done is slowed the release over time, over the 8 hours that you're sleeping. The result? Your skin is hydrated and smoothed. It has a delivered dose of retinol with 0 irritation. And I know because I've been using it for, I've been lucky. I've been using it for about 8 weeks now. And I don't normally use retinols in the summer, and I've been able to use it all the way through a really hot summer with 0 irritation. The monodose also keeps everything super stable, because one of the other things people say to me is, how much retinol should I use? And I always say roughly a pea-size amount. Well, that is a large pea. So it's ready dosed, it's stable, and it's mixed with ingredients that are so skin friendly, that boost the barrier function, that will prevent the peeling and the redness. And now you know why it's inspired this video. However, I want to say that there are other products on the market that aren't the same, but will offer a similar effect, because what they're doing is they're basically buffering the retinol into your skin. Let's start by, earlier this year, Avon launched Avon, a new night treatment cream. Now this is a two-step. You use one for a week and then use the second one for the week and then you go back. Well, only the second one has any retinol in it and at a relatively low level. The first step has lots of silicons, a little bit of glycolic acid to prep the skin, to exfoliate the dead skin cell away. And then the second step you use for a week has the hyaluronic acid and the retinol in it. So what you do is you cycle retinol. This one you use all the time. It's really cleverly formulated. This one, week on, week off, week on, week off, week on, week off. Again, it's a different way of buffering the retinol into your skin. Now, if you want your retinol to be super hydrating, you can obviously look for retinols mixed with avocado oil. And this is the Gold Fadden Wake Up Call. And it's their retinol. By the way, none of these have percentages on, and I know you're going to ask me, what are the percentages? If you're a first timer, you shouldn't really be concerned with percentages. And if you are, you should look for a super low concentration because you want to build up to 0.5%, 1% and higher. I always say, start slow, start steady, and that way you'll stick with retinol in the long term rather than getting super irritated and coming off of it. This has no percentage of retinol in, but what it is it's a really lovely mix of retinol, peptides and avocado oil. And this is a Gold Fadden Wake Up MD, which is, he's an American dermatologist, available from Space NK. It's their Wake Up Call. It's another nice, gentle one to use. But I want to go high street. Obviously, I need to make sure I look after you if you're on a budget. This is Retinol Reface. This is a retinol at a low level with plant micropheres. This is more like the ceramides, but also it's got quite a hefty dose of silicon in it. And what silicon does is it hydrates the skin overnight because it essentially forms a barrier between you and the outside world. So you hydrate the skin overnight so it doesn't dehydrate, but more importantly, slows the delivery of retinol into your skin. And finally, if you're going to go for a product that has a percentage in and you're obsessed with looking for your percentages, then First Aid have a 0.25%. That's 1/4% of retinol. And if you're going to look for a percentage and you're going to start, this is where you start at 0.25%. This is actually a much lighter weight serum. It's a much more traditional retinol serum in the sense that the retinol is going to go in your skin quickly. This is not being buffeted and buffered by any of those skin-friendly moisturizers, but it's at such a low percentage that you're going to be in a safe space. You're probably not going to get that irritated. So the secret to using retinol for the first time, if you've never used it before, is look for something that comes in either a monodose or is buffered with skin-friendly ingredients. Something like this, buffered with ceramides, buffered with avocado, olive and sunflower oils, buffered with peptides and in individual monodoses so you never over apply. 1 week on, 1 week off, which is actually a rule that you could apply to any retinol you use. You don't necessarily need a dual-ended thing to remind you. You just do 1 night on, 1 night off, or 1 week on, 1 week off. Again, a retinol with added oils that slows the delivery into the skin. A retinol with plant microspheres and silicone slows the release into the skin. Or if you're going to go percentages, go low, start low. Please respect your skin, 0.25% and work your way up. That way, no redness, no irritation, no peeling. And as a result, you will use retinol in the long term. You won't, like I have often done when I've tested things, but then I always say I'm a human guinea pig for you, gone in, go hard, go home, and then essentially your face peels off and then you stop using the product, because the secret to using retinol, all studies confirm, is to use it little and often every single night throughout the year. And by the way, it's now mid-September. This is the perfect time to start introducing a retinol into your regime. So there you go. That's how to use retinol for first timers. It's retinol for beginners. We should essentially all be using it. It is absolutely the gold standard ingredient, but I understand why people are wary, because it can irritate, dry and redden and inflame skin and cause peeling, and you don't need that. The secret to using retinol, and all the research has shown, is little and often. Start slow and use it steadily, certainly for at least 6 months of the year. I understand why you might not use it in the summer, but we are now in the middle of September, which means it's the perfect time to introduce retinol into your regime. It's the gold standard. Nothing else really compares. So what you do is you buffer it with skin-friendly ingredients. You can cycle it, or you can go for the lowest percentage you can possibly find. Let me know if you've tried any retinols for the first time and what you like. Let me know if you've tried any of these products and if you've seen a visible result. I've been testing the Arden one. Oh my God, my skin is super soft now. I've been testing the Arden one for 8 weeks now, all through the summer. I've had 0 irritation, 0 redness, 0 dryness. And that's because it buffers with those skin-friendly ingredients. And that's all you need to do. Instead of worrying about how to layer on your retinols, how to layer a moisturizer on or an oil on before or after or a hyaluronic acid, you can get one that is ready blended for you. It takes all the guesswork out of using retinol for the very first time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Tell me what your first time retinol product was and if you've stuck with it. I'll see you soon.